Welcome to a crossover video. This video is going to be featured on both of my YouTube channels at the same exact time. My first channel, Nick Shell, which largely focuses on male pattern baldness, and the other Family Friendly Daddy blog, largely focusing on DNA tests. Either way, whichever channel you're used to seeing me on, you're also used to seeing my mother, as she's helped me out a lot with both channels here. So what we're going to look at specifically in this video are the comments on a video I made on the Nick Shell channel, the one about hair loss, where we made a joke of a video called Inherit the Balding Gene? Sue your parents for $100,000. So if you haven't seen that on the channel Nick Shell, now's your chance. So within 24 hours, it got 130 views, 5 comments, 7 thumbs up, and of course 2 thumbs down, which I kind of feel bad for the 2 people who gave it a thumbs down, that they took that seriously, that they're like, I specifically don't like this, thumbs down. It's a joke. But with that being said, there was a comment that came in that was not a joke, that was serious, and I think it's worth exploring. I received a comment on that one from Shyman99, a faithful viewer of mine, and here's what he said, quote, "Well, this is indeed confusing. I thought you were losing your hair similar to your dad, but you got the bald gene from your mom, but her ancestors weren't bald." So there you go. Let's explore that concept. I immediately want to plug another video that I have here on this channel, Nick Shell. It's called Hair Loss, Mexican and Italian Family Photos. So 2 years ago, I did a video where I showed old family photos of my ancestors on both sides, the Italian and Mexican side, just to kind of see, where I might fall in that. And that was from July 30th, 2017. So just a little over 2 years ago is when I filmed that. So I'm going to actually put a link to that video in this description. So if you want to check that out and see exactly what we're going to be talking about, it'll be in this from 2 years ago. Hair loss, Mexican and Italian family photos. So again, you took your DNA test, was it through MyHeritage?
Yeah, MyHeritage, and so we got the results back September 2017.
Did you ever take a second DNA test?
I didn't. Daddy did. Daddy did MyHeritage and 23.
How did you find out about the hair loss gene or whatever being through?
Andrew was able to hook the MyHeritage up to the I forgot that name.
I gotcha.
Yeah, he was able to hook it up to the health component, and then yeah.
You can basically take your DNA test and upload them to third parties, is what she's talking about.
Yes. Yes.
And that way you could see where certain things come from and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So I know I kind of casually grazed over that yesterday, but you're thinking, how does your mother have a male pattern balding gene? That doesn't even make any sense. So even though I've tried, I can't, well, I've got one of your brothers to be in a video before. But they're not all in their 60s yet. Bob's 59, right?
He's just turned 60.
Oh, he did. Okay,
Just,
so
yeah,
all 3 of your brothers are now in their 60s.
Yes.
All 3 of your brothers have very low foreheads and have lost none of their hair, and they're all in their 60s.
Yes.
That's unusual, and that's part of the reason I made that one video looking at pictures of the Italian side and the Mexican side on my mom's side to see if there was any pattern there. And what you've been able to figure out is they got the Mexican gene.
Yes. Yeah, it just apparently seems like that. Seems like that's what it is, because they all have their hair.
And then my grandfather, which is my mother's father, I don't remember him having any hair loss either, though. I don't remember that being the case, at least. If it was, it wasn't obvious. So just kind of, because people love when they start talking about hair loss, they love to say, oh, it's because you're your mother's father, that's how you know. Well, very clearly I can dispel that, because what if a father has 3 sons? That means they all need to have exactly the same kind of hair. They're all going to be bald. They're all going to have perfect hair, or they're going to all be somewhere in between. That's not how it is. All the time you can see 2 grown men. One is bald, one's not. So many cases of that. So clearly that's not the case. So it goes back to individually whether or not you have the balding gene, and specifically where you get it from. So the way my pattern is not the same as my dad. My dad, I've looked at photos of him when he was in his 20s. His hairline went back farther, but he didn't have the thinning that I have. it's a different pattern altogether. So I didn't get that from him. Once my mom told me that that DNA test showed it came from her, as weird as it is, it makes sense to me. Even though you're female, the gene came from your side, even though your brothers have not lost any of their hair. Because they got the non-balding gene, you got the balding gene, but you're female, so it didn't matter.
Yes.
And we were talking about it before this. Here's how we would explain it. It's like having a redheaded child. Typically, what you're not going to see is two redheaded parents have two redheaded kids. That's typically not how it works. Typically, the parents don't have red hair. And so it's a matter of sometimes the gene shows up and sometimes it doesn't, and that sort of thing. So it makes me think, same thing with my own kids. You've seen my wife in our videos. She has similar features as I do, but our kids have light skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes. How did that happen? It's because of this same concept. Just because your parents have the gene, it doesn't necessarily mean that you specifically get it, depending if it's dominant or recessive. Same thing when I was a kid watching Full House, and now you know on Netflix Fuller House. But Jesse and Rebecca have dark hair, darker skin, blonde hair, blue-eyed kids. How does that happen? That doesn't make sense. But I get it. It totally makes sense. But then you also have to think, but is it the female getting the gene? So therefore, it was a perfect lottery. For you and your three brothers, the three brothers got the non-balding gene. You got the balding gene, but it didn't matter because it was for males.
Yes.
And see, I didn't even know that until you took the DNA.
And then when I was looking, I was reading the health component and looking down over it, and it was just like, oh my goodness! And so much about it was making sense. I mean, there was just so many little things about the little test about, that was just like, oh my goodness, yes, that's me. And I got down to the part about the balding gene and the hair, the hair thinning, and yes, and it was clear, and I thought, oh my goodness, I have to tell you that.
Yeah, and specifically, someone has already said, and also in the same video, they were joking or not. I don't always know if someone's joking or not, but somebody had said, well, I guess you won't be suing your parents then because you did not inherit the balding gene, and then one person gave that a thumbs up. So, and it's a matter of opinion. If you think I have the male pattern balding gene or not, that's up for debate. But, and I think, well, some would say I did, some would say I don't. I'm almost 40, this is where I'm at. But it's a matter of the kind of male pattern baldness. It's not very strong, but it's there, and that's where it came from. It didn't come from the other side of the family. And it's interesting, going back to the other video I mentioned that's going to be in the comments, hair loss Mexican and Italian family photos. When you look at those photos, what's really interesting is, so these would have been my great uncles. So my grandfather, your father, how many brothers did he have? We decided 6 brothers?
Yes.
He had 6 brothers.
I think so. 6.
So if you watch that video that I'll put in the description, you'll look at a family photo that was taken in 1983. This was the Italian side. And out of them, you will see quite a variation. Now granted, there was probably nearly 20 years between some of them.
Yes.
But the youngest one was 48. The youngest one in that picture was nearly 50. And he had a very low hairline, all of his hair, and it was all thick. But then he had brothers that had completely no hair and hadn't had any hair since before they were younger than him. And then you see those that are kind of just in between. So that picture to me was obvious proof that you can't just simply go by the parents. There's a lot more involved as far as which parent you adopted the gene from versus did it come through your mother's side? Well, you wouldn't be able to compare it to anything because it's your mother's a female. She doesn't have the male pattern baldness. I can understand why people think it comes from your mother's father, because in theory, you could go by that, but it depends on where he got the gene from. So
I know, and it was only be my guess too that it came from the Jewish side, because a lot of times you see the Jewish man, and my great grandfather that in the wedding picture, the man to the far right, and and he had thinning hair.
I didn't notice that.
He had thinning hair.
Yeah, and something else I think of too, because I talk about this a lot in my hair loss videos. I specifically am very hairy, more hairier than you could realize, just based on what you see here. And I mean, I've had a full beard since before high school. Most guys can't have a full connected beard before the time they graduate high school, but I'm very hairy. You just don't know how hairy I am. But my grandfather, my mother's father, he was the same way though, right? I mean, he had kind of the Robin Williams hair.
Yes.
Like it was just so much, but yet he wasn't. If he was balding, I don't know about it. I don't ever remember. I just remember he always had white hair. But so it's like, it's interesting to see how that happens. Like even the hairiness, I think, came from his side of the family, I think.
Yes.
But my own dad doesn't, he's not a hairy guy. So it's interesting.
Well, the Mexican uncles, well, they were really hairy too.
Really?
They were really hairy, yeah.
I didn't really.
They were really hairy, the arms and they would always call it their fur. You know, they would always call it their fur because they would just, just have, hair all over their chest.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did they have beards or could they?
I don't ever remember any of them growing beards.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember them growing beards. And I know that they had to shave. If they didn't shave, they had stubble, but they didn't grow beards.
Yeah, especially not back then. It wasn't as fashionable or whatever.
Yeah.
But this video is just the perfect crossover between what my two channels are about. Because on one channel, it's mainly catering to an audience who really just wants 2 or 3 videos a day about hair loss and really nothing else. The other channel, it's about talking about DNA test results. And it's funny because the more I do videos about this, the more things that I learn about this. And in case you're on the hair videos and you're confused by what Mom talking about Jewish and I'm just talking about Mexican and Italian, this is the fun little thing for you guys. There's a video on my other channel, Family Friendly Daddy Blog, which, I recorded it live at the time. I guess this is too. But I did a live reveal of my mom's DNA test results. And her whole life identifying as, quote, half Italian, half Mexican. And I'm reading the results to her. She doesn't know what they are.
No, I had no idea.
And I tell her 4.5% Italian. And then, but that was like the low end of things. And on the high end was 15.2% Sephardic Jewish, which is Spanish Jewish. And so there's a video of that. And so it's been very interesting and I think led to a lot of the videos on that channel because imagine if you're my mom and you thought your whole life you were half of one thing and half the other. Turns out the Mexican side, yeah, that's legit. It's all the way. There's a high amount of Native American and Spanish. That's undeniably there. But we always, I think out of our whole family, you and I always sensed that we were part Jewish.
We did. We just always felt it. We just always felt like, I remember Nick being a little boy and asking me if we were part Jewish. And it was like, and I just almost wanted to say yes. And it was kind of like, maybe we are, but I don't know for a fact. I've always heard that we are, I heard my great uncles talking about it, that there was Jewish in there. They seemed pretty positive about it, but then when you try to find out from anyone else, no one knew about it.
That was before DNA test.
Or said, oh, no, we're not Jewish. Even asked my 92-year-old aunt, I asked her about it before and after my DNA test, and oh, no, we don't have Jewish.
And
no.
your cousins that have taken the DNA test, it's confirmed it on them too.
Yes,
it's not just a fluke.
Yes, the Jewish is there and the Greek is there and much of it.
Yeah, but it's just interesting though with these DNA tests. We couldn't have known at any other point in history to prove this either way. So
I'm so glad you took the test. I mean,
that's why you took your test.
If you hadn't taken the test, I never would have taken one because I thought, well, I'm half Mexican, half Italian. So why should I take one? But then I knew you wanted to find out exactly what all the other stuff on your daddy's side was.
Yeah.
The German and the French. Is it really German? Really French? What?
And it was right. I mean, everything on his side ended up being exactly what we expected. But yours, it was quite a surprise because
we didn't expect all those surprises.
Yeah. And just to think that they came here 100 years ago from Italy, but already at that point, there was so much going on in their background that there was so little Italian even in there. That there was the biggest presence was really the Spanish and also the Spanish Jewish. Our 15-minute time limit is almost up. So thank you for watching maybe the first ever on purpose crossover video. All of your comments I will be paying attention to, and maybe if I make a response to it, I need to put that on both channels as well. This is the Nick Shell channel and also the Family Friendly Daddy Blog channel. Check out the link. That's where I've got the link to the other video. Your comments belong right here.
Thank you for watching.